systems are offline.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Hello there and welcome to today's episode of the Say It podcast. The Say It podcast is a podcast where we say it the way it is, how it happens, the way it is. And today I'm not going to be alone on the podcast. I have a guest here and she's actually my co-host in the social media trendy show. And her name is Awat Ntah, aka the Radio Champ.
Yeah, that's my name, Awat Ntah, the Radio Champ. Yeah, welcome to the Say It podcast with OT the Prast. Yeah, like it always goes on the social media trending story. Sorry, I'm bringing that here.
Awat is
it's
now bringing
always an
social media trendies
amazing
to my
one
podcast.
right there. So I trust today's edition is going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Just sit back and fasten your seatbelt because we are going to drill you, give you amazing stories concerning today's topic. I guess you should break the silence with the topic. So we grind it down.
So as you can see, Awat is not low spirit. As a matter of fact, Awat's high spirit has lifted up my spirit.
Yeah.
Raise me up.
Oh, now he can walk on waters.
So Awat, it's great having you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's always great with you.
And everyone out there, today we're going to be focusing on something that's very important. It's actually a case that needs to be checked in society and the world at large. And we're going to be talking about teenage depression. From Google, it's the feeling of severe despondency and dejection. When self-doubt creeps in and it now turns to depression. And Awat, from the Google meaning of depression, there's a word there's a word there that's actually a very big problem in society right now, and it's despondency. Yes, despondency. And the meaning of despondency is low spirits from loss of hope or courage. And this is the whole explanation. This is the whole meaning of what depression is. And checking out society right now, there's a lot of reasons for depression. And even funny thing is, I saw the psychology meaning of depression, and it was drawn to my concern. And depression is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel and the way you think, and also the way you act. So you see, it's something that affects the way people feel. So what do you have to say about what can you say about depression before we dive into teen depression?
Yeah, depression as a whole is actually being in a state whereby you're actually down, you're actually at your lowest. Let's just use the layman term like everybody knows. It's like you being in a dark room where you don't want to see anybody. You can't share your burden, you can't share your feelings with anybody. That's the word depression. Like you're depressed, maybe through heartbreaks, through losing a job, through not having a child, and the rest of it.
Funny thing is, Awat, if you check, the level of depression now is higher than before.
Yes, it's higher than before.
Because one would think that as the world is progressing, at least life will be made easy. So there'll be less cause of depression. But the more the higher the civilization moves, the more the depression. Why is that, Awat?
People get depressed every day because you wake up in the morning, you take your bath, you're ready to leave the house, and then you discover that maybe they just called you that you lost a loved one, you lost something, or on your way
some people get depressed without losing people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People get depressed without losing people, fine, but there's so much more to depression. Like I earlier said, we have the heartbreak. Depression doesn't really need to. Some people, funny enough, people just stay and develop depression. Maybe the problem has accumulated, so you just find them. They might not want to switch into that mood, but it just kicks in. There are sometimes I just think, let me not call that depression, because there was once we had an interview and then they said depression doesn't just come like that. It's accumulating.
Exactly.
Maybe your worries and everything that troubles you every time.
You just stay there. And
then it now shoots out.
The moment it reaches its peak,
climax and the rest,
it just blows off. And the funny thing, my problem right now is the fact that depression is now also creeping into the life of teenagers. I mean, teenagers are supposed to enjoy their adolescence life. You get, they're supposed to flow with their life, but right now depression has creeped into the life of and it's something that the attention of people should be drawn.
Yes, when you say teenagers are also humans. They also have a life to live. Okay, a teenager, who is the teenager? A teenager is a person from 13 to the age range of 18, whereby in Nigeria you're good enough to go your own ways and do things your own self. Within this age bracket, they have peer pressure. Peer pressure comes in here.
That's where my problem is,
Yeah.
because normally at this age, from the childhood age to the teen age, you're supposed to be stress free. Before you now get into adulthood and face the real life.
It's not. It's
so
not.
it's supposed to be a time of preparation.
Yeah,
not
but
for you to be in depression. We know that depression catches up with adults, but depression is not supposed to. I mean, teenagers are just young people.
They are young people, but they also have a life to live. Like in those days, they say diabetes was for elderly people, but you also have younger people having diabetes today.
Yes.
A child of 8 could be seen having diabetes, not because she takes much sugar, but because it's hereditary. And also, in the case of teenage depression, they go to school, they have friends around them. Like for instance, my father drops me in school every day.
Yes.
He gives me 500 naira every day for snacks. He pays my school fees. He does everything. And then you have another child in which she's not coming from a brilliant background or a nice background. Then the child that's not from the bright background tends to see what the parent does for the child. In his own little way, he might tend to think that, oh, why is this child why is life on a bed of roses?
It's like, life no balance.
Yes, it's like this. And then you end up thinking, maybe when you go home, they ask you to bring, let's say, 500 now. You go telling your parents, mommy, they say they're like, oh, no money.
Yes.
You go to school.
Yes.
You face bullying. People tend to neglect you. Like you tend to be a laughing stock. I don't know if somebody has been there before, but you tend to be a laughing stock. They're like, this one, look at you, look at your socks, look at your sandals. Are you the only one that uses this school bag? Can't you change school bag? It's a new tech.
In the life of teenagers, we observe that one of the things that cause depression mainly, we have peer pressure and academic expectation. A lot of parents pressure their children these days.
Yes.
I was opportune to listen to the radio. I heard people talking about the fact that some parents pressure their children.
Very well.
A child is supposed to grow at his pace. But what they do is, a child is 9 years old, 8 years old, some 7 years old. You take their child to write common entrance, and after the common entrance examination, if the child narrows through and pass, you now take him through secondary school. Let's say that child is 7 years or 8 years. Let's say 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, he's done with secondary school. After the child is 13 years old and leaves secondary school, you now take him to a higher institution at the age of 13, knowing very well that academic life needs psychological balance. So I think parents should check this.
I won't really agree with you on that term. Most importantly, you don't need to be. Age doesn't determine maturity. You may be 8 and then your mental health is very stable than somebody that is 13. Like, that shouldn't be a problem. I have a sister. She left nursery school for secondary school at 8 years. Before 15, she was done. She wrote JAMB the first time. She didn't make it. She wrote it the second time. She made it. Now she's a young doctor at 25.
Don't you think that's kind of pressuring a child?
No, it's not pressuring a child.
Because most times it's later in their life that they just feel like this life did not go my way.
It went their way.
There are many cases. Your cousin, it may have worked out for her.
Yes.
And another thing is, that most times sorry to cut you there, most times when parents do this, they're supposed to be what we call emotional support. They're supposed to be emotional support. So they're supposed to emotionally support those children. But most of them, they don't. They just put the pressure. You have to make sure that you come out with first. If you don't come out with first, you are living you get all those kind of threats.
Yes, that also coming. That's when you say threat, like you say. But a child, you see this child is bright enough. Children also have their say. Like, I can remember
but
once.
some parents don't do it if their child is bright enough. They just tend to pressure the child. They feel, this person's child is since this person's child is there, I have to push you. And they push the child until they reach the child's limit.
A child has a right to stand on what they want and what they don't want. While I was growing up...
Have you forgotten that this is Nigeria?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. While I was growing up, I finished my secondary school, let's say at the age of 16. I wrote my first JAMB. And my dad was like, if it's not law, he's not paying my fees. And I told him, I'm not a reading type. Like, I find it very hard to read, but I was brilliant, let's say. Because I just find it reading few words and I'm done. But law needs you reading and reading. And I was like, Daddy, I can't do law. Law is not my calling. Law is not my ambition. And I will not do it. He was like, you have to do it, though, this and that. I now said, okay, fine. I wrote the JAMB. I wrote aptitude test. In my mind, you cannot force me to do what I don't want to do. I went and I messed up big time. I messed up big time just to ensure that. And then I also went to God in prayer, because most times you need to pray and commit to yourself.
Exactly.
I was like, God, if this is actually what you want me to do, despite my nonsense and everything, just make me have the admission. But
you
it ended
know
up I didn't have the admission, and it was fine.
Do you know that most children don't have the awareness you did at that time?
Yeah.
You know, most of them, they don't believe that what their parents say stands. And you know the African's parent.
No, no, no,
The African parent is, they'll threaten the child, beat up the child, starve the child. You get all those kind of things, which is actually wrong.
Yeah.
It's one of the things
See,
that bring those depressions.
I guess if the society at large should enlighten a child on the happenings, they are child's rights. Like if your parents pressure you, you have a child's right. You can actually know the nearest child's right and walk into it and lay your complaint. All this will stop, because, and also I would like to tell them that instead of them using their time to go on WhatsApp, go on Facebook, and the rest of the social media platform, they should tend more to Google things and search more on how to go about life and everything. Because if you're this type that researches well, I bet you that you would have a smooth life despite your parent and everything.
So now, Awad, let's check out something here. Now, if you'd realize the pressure that parents put on children is too much. Now, you know what this causes? The depression we're talking about here in teenage life. It's divided into two. You know, it has two symptoms. The first symptom is the emotional symptom, and then we have the behavioral changes symptom, whereby the person starts reacting. But before we go into that, now this thing about body shaming.
Yes.
That's another form. That's
another
thing too.
form
Because
of depression.
There are some people that they can be fat. When they are fat as teenagers, people say, look at that fat.
Yes.
And look at that one, he's too slim.
That's why body shaming, it's never right in my dictionary. Like, if I'm walking on the road, somebody tell me, why are you this skinny? I'll tell you, why are you this fat?
Because most people,
you can't body shame me.
Especially, we're talking about especially the fat people.
You
the
can't
people that are fat, the people that are plus sized. I won't
Yeah.
say fat. Let me use the word
Plus size. Yeah, the people that
Because
are
they
plus
get,
size.
They get body shamed a lot. And those teenagers, sometimes most of them, it takes you to know your worth for
Yeah.
you not to be bothered about what someone says about you. So most times people are not there to make these people know their worth. You get to make them know their worth. So by the time they are body shamed, they start feeling sad, and the next thing we know, depression sets in.
Yeah, that's why I tell people, when you see people, let them be. There was once a time in my life whereby there's this particular guy. He was always telling me that I'm skinny, I'm this, that. Had it been he didn't know my parents, he would have said I was doing, I was a helpmate for somebody. And I'm like, does this guy know what I'm passing through? I was working, I was schooling, I was going to church, I was fulfilling other responsibilities. See, the should I say, the well-being of somebody is just having rest, peace of mind, nothing to worry about. And then, like you said, children, don't worry. When I was still in the higher institution, I was still in my teenage age, but I had different responsibilities of reading, knowing that I have this particular exams to read for, I have this to solve. So I wasn't strong enough, and then I would have allowed what he said get into me. But I'm this strong person that no matter what he say, he can never get to me. My father used to tell me that I took after him, because there's nothing you see. Even if I respect you a lot, but I stand for the truth. If I see something and it's white, you ask me, I will tell you it's white, despite your age.
No, it's actually good, because right now, and I think what the teenagers need right now is willpower.
Yes.
So we call willpower. So someone tells you you're fat, there's no problem. I like my plus size.
Yes,
And
you tell
someone
somebody I'm
tells
fat, I like
you
it.
are low. You use your emotional initiative to to move and
Yeah, you tell me I'm short, I'll tell you thank you. You that you're tall, where's your tallness led you to? You tell me yes, you're too tall like Iroko tree. I say yes, I'm too tall like Iroko tree. At least people notice me.
Now-
Do they notice you?
Now, out to teenagers out there, what you should know is you can use your psychology to just forget
Yes.
about this thing. Do not feel down on peer pressure, because peer pressure now, especially
Peer pressure
and
is
this
just
peer
the
pressure
crown
now,
of this
especially
thing.
with the fact that everybody now is moving around with iPhone. You get so somebody now feel pressured. My mates are carrying iPhone. You get all those kind of lifestyle, which is actually very wrong.
See, me, I used to tell them what you can afford, live within your
Exactly.
range. Like me, the first iPhone I ever got in my life was when I was 22. I never bothered. I never allowed those things get to me. And it was my brother that actually got it for me. So I didn't want to do the extra miles going to get things
Yes,
that are
exactly.
not within
Apart
my
from the
range.
fact that you got it as a gift,
I
that
got
was the
it
only
as a
time
gift. Yeah, that was the only time I was able to afford it.
and
What I
you
can't
got it, you
afford, I
had to
can't
wait
do it.
for a long time,
Yeah, I had to
before
wait
you could
before I
get
could
it.
get it.
That's what people are
Yeah,
supposed to
that's
know.
what people fail to understand. And then don't do what you can do. Your friends are wearing expensive stuffs. You can't afford it. They are better okays. You go get 150, you sample it, and then they're like, whoa, where did you get this outfit from? Like me, I have to tell somebody I'm not really a fashion person.
Yeah.
But my little fashion sense is okay for me because I know I can't afford those things. So why do I go the extra miles to do things that at the
Okay.
end I can't be proud to say I do it? Like I have people use bigger phones. Meanwhile, their parents can't even afford that particular phone for them. But where did you get it? You're not working, you're a student. So now where did you get the money to get
it
that
means
phone?
that all the people that get depressed from what they see these people,
They just
should
want to get depressed because you know you can't afford something. Somebody's using it. Like forget social media. Forget what you see on
yes,
social
yes.
media. Somebody people borrow cars. They snap, borrow
Exactly.
clothes,
So
and
the
then you're here
moment you
killing
let social
yourself.
media will cause your depression. It means it's your downfall.
It's your downfall.
Exactly, because you are causing. You are not. It's not proper, and it's not supposed to be so.
Yes.
So now, let's look at the emotional symptoms. Of this, we have feelings of sadness, which can include crying, spells, and you get for no reason. Somebody will just
let them cry because they want to cry. Ask me why. First of all, the person should try and figure out why are you crying. Like you could see
somebody will just cry for no reason.
Yeah.
I think we need to check it. And the parents and adults are not trying at all.
Yeah, first of all, you should check yourself. Like you don't actually, you yourself, you're crying, you don't know what is actually making you cry. Is it another person that will find out what? First of all, you should check yourself. You may be crying because you're trying to achieve this particular thing and then you can't. I guess at that particular point, you should meet someone older than you. You should seek for advice from someone older than you so you get the right counseling. Just meet a counselor because you can be working very well. Nobody knows you're depressed. You're the only one that knows what you're going through except you open up to talk. So in this aspect, I guess you should open up, talk to someone, need counseling, need someone to guide you and have a mentor. By the time you have a mentor to always look up to, you discover that your teenage lifestyle would be an amazing ride for you.
Because emotions need to be at check, because you get these feelings of anger on small matters or feeling hopeless and empty. That's where it catches me the most. For a teenager to start feeling hopeless and empty at that young age is very terrible, and it's not good for the future. Of feeling irritated or annoyed, loss of interest, you become apathical to everything, and loss of interest or conflict with families, friends, low self-esteem. You feel that you don't have worth, which needs to be checked. We're supposed to know that no matter what happens, you have a worth and you have standards.
That low self-esteem, I like to come in there. Most of it doesn't really come on their end. Maybe they graduated together with their friends, and their friends are having admission, and then they are seated back home without anything, and then now the pressure is your father, your mother, your parents are like disturbing you. Like look at your mates,
should
this
not
and
pressure
that.
their children.
So the whole game of this is that parents, please don't pressure your children.
Don't pressure
Everybody
your children.
have a
There's
race
this
to
thing
run.
about them always comparing children. You don't compare your child with another child. You are supposed to follow up your child emotionally and psychologically.
Let's look at this aspect. What if we were supposed to compare our parents, like daddy, look at that other person's father. He's have money, he drops his child in school, he does this. You would also feel like I am not appreciating what you're doing for me.
Yes, you have a humble background as a parent. Your child did not come to be your your child did not come as a savior.
Yes.
Please, your child did not come. You did not give birth to a child to come and redeem you. No, that child is supposed to live his life. So
allow me to live my life.
To make the child to reach the point that you want him to reach. You're supposed to allow the child go through his adolescence or his or her adolescence life properly. Not pressuring the child. It is very wrong, because sometimes these children grow up and they become adults that have psychological issues.
Yes,
most
that's
of them
actually
even
true.
end up at the psychiatric.
Most of them are drug addicts because of what they face. So parents, please just allow most of it, or I'll just address this to the parents, because the keys lies in the hands of the parent. If you control your child, like if you have a close relationship with your child, maybe in a week, you remove one day, you set aside one day, you ask your child, what are you going through? What happened today in school?
Close to their children.
Like what happened today in school?
Because
this and that.
child does not
Check
have
the
who to
child's
pour out
subject.
to.
Yes,
The
check
child
the most
does-
times
but
they,
at
most
that
times
time they feel balanced. As
yeah,
at them.
yeah. Aside that, most times they tend to get wrong advice from their friends.
From their friends.
Yeah, so what you need to do as a parent, ask them, okay, what subject did they teach you
Yes.
today? Which did you find difficulty in? Which do you think you could do? And then they
Yeah,
tell you
talk to
maybe,
them as
yeah,
your
they tell you
children.
maybe, mommy, I don't know this much. You say, okay, if I get you a lesson teacher or if I pay extra lessons for you in school, can you cope
Even
up?
if you
Can you
cannot
meet up with
afford
this?
lesson
Yeah,
teachers, at least the time you give that child
yeah,
encourages
it's
the child.
something.
We're still on the Say It podcast, and we have a lot here. We're talking about teenage depression. So we'll go on a very short break and we'll be back immediately to continue the rest of the podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Chapter systems are offline. Number 1.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
So welcome back. We're still talking about teenage depression, and it's still the Say It podcast. And believe me, it's an amazing time here. White has been, she has been talking and elaborating on the matter. So still on White, there are behavioral changes. This causes behavioral changes. Like sometimes this depression causes tiredness, loss of energy. For no reason, the child will just get tired. Insomnia or sleeping too much, or the appetite of the child is either increased or decreased, and weight loss sometimes, and even increased cravings for food. Sometimes drug cravings, use of alcohol or drugs, agitation or restlessness, for example, where a child is facing on handwriting or is, his inability to sit still and slowly think. The child is always pressured. That teenager is always pressured, and frequent complaints. They just complain. This pressure. I think, what if it does not come this way? How you get, frequent visits to school nurse every time. Which is actually terrible. And sometimes isolation. One of the things that brings about depression is the when you have when teenagers are actually how would I put it, introverts. So when they become isolated, they just start being introverts, which is actually wrong. And that's their socializing age. That's the peak of their socializing age. So that is the time where they're supposed to socialize and then blend in with other people of their kind.
But it's not also a crime to be an introvert, because everything, I'll still pour back everything on parenting.
Exactly.
Just like me, while growing up, my parents didn't allow me to socialize that much.
So same thing with me here.
It actually affected me. So I know my schedule.
But actually,
I know my schedule that once I go to school, is I come back home, I take my bath, I eat, I rest. By 4 o'clock, the lesson teacher is already at the door.
Yes.
You have your lessons. Then you have a cartoon time.
But it
to watch
depends. It
television.
depends. When parents, there's what we call there's what we call controlled isolation, like proper isolation. It does not mean you are isolating the child. Like me, my mom did not completely isolate me.
No,
but
she didn't.
The part she did not want me to cross the line.
Yeah,
she
she didn't.
let me know.
Yeah.
So that's how it's supposed to be. But some parents, they tend to completely isolate. Yeah.
See, let me show you. When it's time for party, there was no party I never attended as a child. When it's time for party, my mom would take us out. There was a particular time in our growing up time whereby every Sunday we went out.
Yeah.
You go out, you meet children, you play, you come back to the house. But while growing up, the cage, should I say, actually broke out small. Friends started coming to the house. That was in my JSS3. Friends started coming to the house. I started visiting friends because she knew my friend's parents and my friend's parents knew me. They actually knew my address.
She knew that she had studied you and she had seen
She knew what I could do and what I couldn't
Exactly.
do when she's not
So
around.
parents should study their children and not just isolate them completely.
Yes.
You isolate them, but you give them breathing space.
Give them
That's how
breathing
it's supposed to be. And also another thing that causes this depression too is bullying. And there's high level of bullying in the teenage range.
Yes, there's bullying. Like when I was in school, they always bullied me, but I never allowed that to happen. They were always telling me that my skirt was kind of big because I didn't actually wear this fitted skirt. I was just on my own. I was Maria Maka back then in school because I never liked all these flashy stuff and the rest.
No,
my
I get,
mom
I
was,
get.
but they tend to bully me. But trust, I never allowed anybody to bully me. You bully.
The
Let me
funny
not
thing
say
is,
this aspect.
I remember a time in school where there was a guy that was always bullying my brother and I. And funny thing is, as that particular class, that was about my JS2 or so.
Yeah.
That particular class, I was short. I said then I was not tall, I was short. It's just
You just recently you ate fertilizer and you decided to
exactly.
shoot
It
up.
was later in my, when I was about leaving the secondary school that I started getting tall. But apart from that, I was short as at then. So there's this guy, because he was tall, he had height. He always terrorized me and my brother. And sometimes to the extent whereby there was a time where my brother and I got angry and we said, okay, if we join our hands together, we'll be able to jack the guy. So two of us, we went, trying to hold the guy's
That's the
leg.
part I said I didn't want to talk about because I actually got into a fight.
So my brother and I tried to jack the guy's leg, and the guy, being surprised, he stood there. Me and my brother, we tried as much as possible. We could not jack the guy. That you get. So
Yeah.
the guy continued this bullying. So when my height started started surfacing and
Yeah.
started showing, that was earlier in my secondary, in my senior secondary.
Yeah.
I had a fight with the guy. I don't know what happened that day, but I was so vexed, and I was hungry. I was just waiting for the school bell to ring so I could.
Oh, hungry, hungry
You get-
lion.
You get we had an assessment then, so I was just waiting for the bell to ring so I go. So the guy just came, and all of a sudden he just came, pushed me, and whether he punched me or so he pushed me or something. With that whole anger and the whole frustration, I just got
You
up.
just let it out on him.
I let it out on the guy. You get. So bullying comes a long way, and also it depends too. Parents have to train their children. They have to train their children
Not to be bullies.
not to be bullies. Exactly. You mind your turf. You just
Yeah,
knew.
because most times they also find this thing from the house. Maybe their dad always bullies their mom, or their mom bullies their dad. So all these things that surface in school and surface, it's what a child sees. That's what the
Exactly,
child
from the
brings
child-
out.
from
Yeah,
the child's house.
yeah, it's
So
what the child brings out.
Also,
So,
another thing that brings this depression is the kind of songs people listen to.
yeah.
The teenagers,
Before-
you are listening to a song, oh, she left me.
No,
and,
before you listen to that kind of song, you should be in the mood already. So now you're just looking for something that matches your mood. Like a teenager, from 13 to let's say 16, that's when you're supposed to be in your, let's say, JSS3 to SS3. What should you be doing with a relationship?
Tell me, oh.
What should you be doing with a man?
No, what to this? You hear?
Because at
And then
that particular time,
when it happens,
yeah, at that particular time, what is the guy giving you? He is still in school.
Yeah.
You are still in school. Probably you both are classmates. His parents are the one paying his school fees. Your parents are the. So what is he giving you? Is he cutting his snacks money for
and then
you?
the next thing, if the relationship goes haywire,
And then you now tell me you're heartbroken. What feelings did you have?
Imagine you now make mistake and here you don't cast.
Last. Now everybody go try.
You will cry.
Like what? And then you
You'll
now
be
start
depressed.
listening to.
You now start listening to all these songs,
now start
all these
listening to,
love songs.
I
and-
believe I can fly. Like,
there
and
are
then
some,
this
there are
heart.
some songs like we have somebody like Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD. If I had my way, I wouldn't have teenagers listen to Juice WRLD songs because
Not
I
only
was
Juice WRLD,
a
like
Juice WRLD fan.
Enya too has this.
I was a
kind
Juice
of
WRLD fan.
music
I
that
listened to Juice
changes
WRLD. As a matter
moods.
of fact, there were some tracks, some 1 hour tracks I had. Now, Juice WRLD songs is I think they are supposed to just be vibe to, but some people they just take it upon their head. Like I remember once I was feeling sad.
You see,
I was feeling sad. Relax. It's not breakfast. I was just feeling sad because I was bullied. I was shamed. Like someone was talking me down. This whole talk. Okay. Let me just explain it. We went somewhere and when we went there, so others were like taking alcohol.
yeah, and then
And
you didn't take.
Now I just ordered for Sprite.
Oh wow,
Jesus. There's no name that these people did not call me in that place. They called me
Daddy.
from Born Again to Fanta Boy to Church Boy, all those names. Why? Because I didn't take alcohol. So as at that time, there was this Juice WRLD song I used to hear, my brother, please. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden I just went to YouTube, say, let me go and
Download it.
check the lyrics of the song. My dear, because of how depressed I was that day, I listened to that song from beginning to end, got the lyrics from beginning to end. Even right now,
You can still
I
sing
can
it.
still sing the song from
Yes.
beginning to the end. So you see, it depends on the kind of songs that you listen to.
That's why. Thank God you just explained it all. You said you were depressed. That was why you went to search for that particular kind of song. So that's the exactly thing I was saying. The song don't just come in for them to listen.
No,
It's the
sometimes-
mood that actually
no,
triggers them to the
To
song.
listen to the song, but
Yeah.
sometimes they can hear hear the song and it triggers
Yeah,
the depression.
yeah, okay, yes, I
Because
get it
you
from
get-
that point.
you,
Yes.
you understand me, because sometimes it can just be in there, but the
And
next
then
thing-
maybe you're feeling, okay, my mates are doing this, I'm not doing this. The
You
thought
get-
just starts coming in. Yes, I get it from your own point. It's also a right one there. Yes.
So Awad, before we end the podcast, what do you have to say? Like, what would you advise teenagers to do in order to just stop, and resist this depression mentality?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
psychology of depression, and this psychology of depression is causing society a whole lot, because it drives these children to what they are not supposed to go into. These teenagers, it takes them to where they're like, you see teenagers, they start doing drugs at the age of 15, 16. What are
Yeah.
you doing with drugs? What are you even doing with drugs as a whole? You start doing tramadol, and some of them start smoking Indian hemp, which is very terrible.
Yeah, fine. I just want to keep it simple and give them few words. It's just to encourage them, just what to do not to get out of depression. One, the
To
first
get
thing,
out of depression.
yes, and not to get into depression. The first thing, and first and foremost, is look at your background. Well, once you check your background, you know the things your parents can afford and the things your parents can't afford.
Yes.
Then two, pay attention to your study. No man loves you at this particular time.
No
You're
man
still a
loves you at this
teenager.
age. Just know
Nobody
that.
loves you at this particular time. The only love you should get is love from family,
And
love
Jesus,
from your
the love
parents,
of
and the love
Jesus.
of God at this particular time. Three, don't go for what you can't afford. You see your friend coming with fried rice and chicken every day. Check back, can my parents afford this? Just remove your mind
Remove
from
your
this.
mind. They enjoy your plantain and dodo.
And then what you can't achieve, don't go for it.
Don't go for
and
it.
then the place you're finding difficulties, maybe in your academic,
Yes.
you're finding difficulties in mathematics, you're finding difficulties in English language. I guess every school have a counselor. Just walk into the counselor's office. There's a way he would counsel you and give you the right
You talk
guidance
the
to do.
counselor, exactly.
Yeah, so
and also you just get to talk to your parents.
yeah, and
too.
then what you feel it's bothering you, always have a mentor that you could always talk to. And then you could also establish a close relationship with your parents if they can't establish a close one with you. Always try to tell them what is happening in your life, what you're facing, who is bullying you, the encounter you get every day from school. And trust me, if you're open enough to your parents, you would have a good
teenage lifestyle, right? Thank you very much, Awad. Thank you so much. It is the Say It podcast, and we've been talking about, teenage depression, the level of teenage depression. And you've heard it from Awad there. Please don't feel oppressed as a teenager by anything. Just know that life, is turn by turn, and life is due process. You get, so you grow up, and when you grow up, you get to attend some things. It's been an amazing time here with Awad. Thank you very much, Awad, for joining me on the
you can say that
podcast
again.
today. And I'm going to bring you a better and juicier, topic for the
I hope
next
we get
episode.
to do this
So
frequently, because
I'm
it's
going
been
to
an
be having you
amazing one.
frequently on this podcast.
Yippee.
And Awad is going to be a familiar voice here
Yeah.
on the podcast. By the way, just know that no matter
Yes,
what
no
happens,
matter.
no matter how you're body shamed, no matter what happens, and then I'd advise teenagers to stay away from some kind of songs when you feel sad and oppressed. Just stay away from some kind of songs. Just do something active. When you're sad, just get up,
Get up
and
and
be
be
active.
active.
All right, we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.